All right, all right, all right. It's been a minute, right? It's been a minute, guys, but now I'm back to kick off some more Terrible Towel Tuesday. And you guys know the routine, man. We're going to wait a few moments and allow a few of you guys to get up in here. Happy to be back in the building. And like I always do, guys, I'm going to share the link out with a few special people. So give me a few seconds, can you? Just a few seconds. And I will get it cracking here for you guys. But like I said, man, I'm happy to be back. Welcome back to my faithful viewers. Like I said, I know it's been a while, man. I know. And we'll get into that in a minute. You know, mainly because it's been slow. You know, not a whole lot going on. But give me 2 seconds, man. Let me send this out to my father-in-law, Leonard, my cousin Floyd, and then, of course, Tony. And, you know, Tony and Kenyon and I, you know, we're all in a group chat, so I'll just drop it in there in case, you know, both of those guys want to get the link. They usually pop in here anyway. Let me send it to Floyd really, really quick, and then we're going to be ready to rock. We're going to be ready to rock. All right. So how's everybody been doing, man? How's it been going, man? I mean, you know, I know I've been away for a couple of weeks, but listen. Like I always try to remind you guys, man, make sure you're following me on Twitter. I usually announce whether or not a show is kicking off on Twitter. That's why I normally announce it. Only reason why I haven't done a show in the last 2 weeks, guys, is because there's frankly nothing to talk about. You know, we're waiting for training camp to start. You know, we're getting closer to it, so I figure I'll drop back in here this week and do a quick show. Quick, you know, really not a lot to talk about, but I'll definitely give you guys an opportunity to call in. You know, again, you guys know I try to keep it within a 30-minute time frame, so we're going to stick to that. But yeah, man, basically, the only thing I really got to talk about tonight, a couple things, but mainly I want to talk about the Steelers by position, and I'll just pick a few positions that, you know, pique my interest. And maybe we'll do this next week and the week after that, and then that following week, we should be right around training camp, right? So today we're going to talk about running backs, like I always do in the past. Look, I'm almost forgetting what I normally do. It's been 2 weeks and I forgot my whole program. Let me give my shout outs, man. What's up to Eli Coolin? Go Drop. Is it Drop? It's DRXP. I don't want to just assume, but give me that pronunciation there. He says Sim the GOAT. I appreciate that. I'm no GOAT, man, but I appreciate it. Champagne Poppy, Steve Williams, Y Diggy, Brandon Cheney, Jason Winningham, Jay Will, Big Play Spice Vault, Michael Garman, Aguilar, and more AGWS, Vista Light, and Ollie Howard as of right now. And I'm sure more of you guys will be funneling in. So yeah, quick hiatus, guys, only because there hasn't been nothing to talk about. And again, man, if you want to know what's going on with me, I know some people reached out to me and wanted to know, you know, are you still doing the show? Yes, I am. There's just a lull period right now. And if you want to know what's happening, make sure you follow me on Twitter, at least on Tuesday night. Check in. It's at SimFBallCritic, so at least you know whether or not I'm going to do the show or not. All right, cool? So let's jump into it, man. A few other things I want to talk about really, really quick, man. Let's go down here in my description. Got to remember my own description. Couple things before we get into the running backs. Word on the street, man, Zach Gentry is supposedly being more physical than Jessie James, right? For you guys that don't know, Zach Gentry is the kid that we drafted out of Michigan, the tight end. Long, lanky kid that, you know, wasn't really a draft prospect as far as a high, you know, top-notch type of guy. He's more of a project, if you will. Very tall. I believe he's 6'8", something like that. But he's kind of lanky. And, you know, really the knock on him has been that he can't block. You know, that's, I don't want to say he can't block, but basically most of the, you know, the Steeler personnel, and I won't say personnel, I'll say guys like myself or Steelers Depot, you know, guys like that who are really out there scouting, they do a great job of doing that. You know, the knock on him was that they didn't think he was a blocking type of tight end, which is what the Steelers like to go for. You know, we usually go for that type of guy. You know, Vance McDonald does it fairly well as Jessie James was shaky at it at first, but then he got better. You know, Matt Spaeth was a tremendous blocking tight end. Heath Miller. I mean, the list goes on, and that prototype that we like. So that was really the knock on him as far as prospects, right? However, word on the street, you know, per Bob Labriola, he said that he was told that Zach Gentry is already showing himself to be a more physical player than Jessie James. So, I'll say you guys, take that with a grain of salt. Take that however you will. What that means, I don't know. But I thought it was interesting, man, that we're already getting that type of news about this guy. We'll see when the pads come on. And I see there's a call in the queue. I'll get the calls at the very last, moment. We'll select a few calls, bring you guys on, and then we'll get up out of here. But yeah, 973, you will be first in the queue. The next thing I wanted to talk about really, really quick, man. Let's see what else we got here. This is just a question I have for Steeler Nation. Waste some time while we're waiting for training camp to get cracking. So Elliot Harrison, the guy from NFL Network, sidebar on him. Have any of you guys ever seen that show? It comes on super late at night, and I actually saw it a few times by accident. I left my TV on the Game Show Network, and sometimes I watch reruns of Family Feud or what have you. And it's this show that's called, what's the name of it? Baggage Claim, right? It's with Jerry Springer. Elliot Harrison was a contestant on Baggage Claim. That is hilarious to me. Not saying anything is wrong with it. It's just hilarious. It's just funny to have seen him in that capacity, to now see him as an analyst or whatever, his title is on the NFL Network. That's just hilarious to me. But anyway, so this guy, he does a list, top 25 of all-time quarterbacks. And guys, lists are subjective. I never try to act like that my opinion is the best opinion or another guy's opinion is not good. It's subjective. I can't discredit somebody's list. That's how they feel. But let me at least mention to you guys, and y'all see me looking over because I'm just looking at the comments really quick. Let me let you know what he basically did in terms of the Steelers. He had, let me see if I got this right. Terry Bradshaw was 17. Ben Roethlisberger was 19. And right there in the middle, this is not a Steeler or anything, but Russell Wilson was sitting at 18. And, that could be debatable. Guys want to say who's a better quarterback between Russell Wilson and Roethlisberger. I'm not here to debate that. But I want to know from you guys, man, from Steeler Nation. And I'm sure I won't see all of your comments. I'll see them at the end of the show. Who do you think was the better quarterback? Roethlisberger or Terry Bradshaw? Now, I'm sure when guys give these type of opinions and they give their list, there's always a caveat. They're going to look at the amount of rings and et cetera, and they're going to look at Terry Bradshaw having 4 rings, and I get it. But who do you think is the better quarterback? In my opinion, I would say Ben Roethlisberger. I'm sorry. Now, a lot of you guys might agree with that. I don't know. But I would say Big Ben all day is a better quarterback. You look at Ben from top to bottom, and I'm talking beginning of his career to where he's at now. Everything that he's been able to do, his escapability, the deep ball, the no huddle. Yeah, he has his knocks as well. Ben sometimes get tunnel vision. Ben sometimes seems to get thrown off or confused by sometimes basic defenses. We've seen Cincinnati give us problems over the years, especially when Zimmer was there running cover 2. So I'm not saying that Ben is a superhero or anything like that. He has his faults. Maybe, I don't know. Is he the most cerebral quarterback? I don't know. I would probably guesstimate and say I don't know if he's necessarily Tom Brady, but I don't think he's a dumb quarterback either, because he does dissect things, but sometimes he is tricked by certain things. But again, I'm not here to beat up Ben. I'm just saying, if I look at his good versus Terry Bradshaw, and I have to rightfully say I wasn't of age to where I was actually watching Bradshaw. So, all of the Bradshaw footage I've ever seen has been replay. I've watched as many old-time Steeler games as I possibly could over the years, but I never saw him play, personally. Obviously, I didn't watch him on TV. It was before my time. So I won't just throw the notion out the window. I'm just saying, from what I've seen on film and then watching Ben in the current day, I think Ben Roethlisberger by far, in my opinion, is the better quarterback. But it's interesting, man. Like I said, Elliott had him 2 spots above Roethlisberger, and I'm pretty sure it's because of the Super Bowl rings. So there you have it. But I'll definitely get back to the comments here in a minute. I see a lot of you guys already saying Big Ben, clearly. Oh, shout outs to Leonard. That's my father-in-law. What's going on, Big Leonard? He says, I watched Terry Bradshaw, but here I would say Ben. And yeah, Leonard, obviously Leonard is an older gentleman. He was around, to watch, Terry Bradshaw. So we could definitely pull from Leonard's opinion there. He's seen them both play. There you have it. All right, so the last thing I'm going to talk about here, man, and then I'll grab the phone calls, whatever calls we got in the queue. Like I said, short night tonight. Let's talk about running back depth for a minute. I've been pondering this, man. I've been watching a lot of film, believe it or not. On these 2 weeks that I've been kind of off from doing the show, I've just been really diving into old footage. And, I've gone back and I looked at some games of James Conner this past season, still using NFL Game Pass. I went back and watched the Patriots game with Jalen Samuels, his coming out party, if you will. I looked at the game the following week where he didn't have as good a game, looking at some of the minute details, pass blocking and things like that. And then I looked at Benny Snell. I looked again at Benny Snell's college tape. That's all we have to go on. That doesn't always translate to the NFL. However, if I had to guess, I would say Benny Snell's style will translate to the NFL. The same way I thought Le'Veon Bell's style would. Think about Le'Veon Bell when he was at Michigan State. He was thicker and bigger. He was a more heavier running back. And he has always been a bigger running back even in the NFL, even though he kind of got lean and, got more ripped up. But the way he lumbered a lot at Michigan State. And every now and then he'd throw that hurdle on you and it let us know that he had quick, agile feet. But I thought that his power style in college would translate to the NFL, and whoa, what a translation. Regardless of how y'all feel about Bell now, we got to give the man credit. He was a bad boy. No point of acting like he wasn't. No way around that. Bell was a bad boy. So I look at Snell, man, and I look at Snell the same way as far as his style. I think that style translates into the NFL. Versus a guy like Chris Rainey, you guys remember that we drafted, the speedster out of Florida, that didn't translate. Dre Archer didn't translate, and Dre Archer wasn't necessarily a running back for us, but what I'm saying is guys who are quick and, speedy and things like that in college, that doesn't always translate, but a guy that's more of a bruiser type runner, look, James Conner. We saw how he ran in college, and I felt like, if he gets a shot, he's going to be able to run the ball like that more than likely in the NFL. He's proven us to be right. But the only point I wanted to make, man, is I think we have great depth right there. One would imagine that it's going to be those three guys. I don't know if there's somebody else that will beat out, might possibly beat out Jalen Samuels for the third spot or second spot, or however the order is going to be. I don't know. I don't think so. I'm hearing, a couple things coming out of minicamp, a few guys that, people are saying keep an eye on, but conventional wisdom would make me believe it's going to be these three guys. And I think that we have a solid core right there. James Conner, I love the way James Conner runs the football. I just hope he stays healthy, saying all the right things. He's saying, he wants to be the guy when the game is on the line, as he should. I want my starter to say that. But he also said he doesn't mind. He doesn't mind being more of a by committee type of thing. Hit him with all angles. That's cool. And I actually like that because think about it. We as Steelers fans have always been looking for the second back to complement Bell to limit his injury risk. I'm completely on board with that with James Conner. Because James Conner has, let's be honest, he's gotten nicked up and dinged up both times, both years so far. So I have no beef and no quorum with, having a running back by committee. If it's working, keep that ball on the ground, get as many hands on it as possible, limit the amount of pass attempts in that offense. I'm cool with that. That's just how I'm feeling about it. So those are my quick thoughts, man. And I'll definitely get in the chat here in a minute, guys. We only have one call in the queue. Let me give you guys a time check so you know what we're doing. We're at 14 and a half minutes right now. So we're doing good with time in terms of keeping it down at 30 minutes. So I'm going to take the phone call. Before we do that, guys, I always have to say, man, if you guys want to donate, you always ask me, how can you? If you want to do it here at YouTube, you click the $ and, walk through the prompts. There you have it. I'll be honest in saying I appreciate those, but I don't like the YouTube donation only because YouTube cuts it so badly. But hey, beggars can't be choosers, right? But then also there's other options. If you don't prefer YouTube, there's PayPal, as well as there's Cash App, all down in the description. I'm just have to say it. Don't feel obligated. But let's grab the phone call, man. Let's grab the phone call. Hold on. What up, Nays? Nays said he missed half of the show. It's all good, man. It's always replay. Nays said, I'm poor. Listen, man. Listen. Don't ever feel like never feel like the donation is anything that has to be done, man. That something like that comes from the kindness of you guys' heart. Period. So you're never gonna hear me being the guy that's sitting around saying, "Hey, donate, keep the show going, donate." No. If y'all want to help out, great. If not, great. Either way. All right, area code. We actually got 2 calls in the queue. Area code 973, and I believe that 757 might be somebody I know. We'll see. Here's another call, 803. But let's grab 973. Live on the air. What's going on tonight, man?
Sim, what's going on? The show was much missed, brother. Much missed.
I apologize, man. It's been slow, man. I'm the type, I didn't want to come on here and just talk about nothing with y'all, man. So I took a little 2-week break, but we back.
I understand. Yeah, I wanted to talk about the running backs, the topic of the show. Like you said, I think we got good depth, man. We got good depth. I was actually watching some tape, a couple plays on James Conner also myself. And one game in particular, I was watching that Jacksonville game when he he dropped 2 passes, one for a walk-in touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Eddie Faulkner got them practicing real well. I watched some film on that too. Like I watched a little bit of video on the camp, and I like how he training them. I like how he got them running and catching all the running backs. I like that.
Yeah.
So overall, I think our running backs, man, we should do pretty well, man, because despite James' kind of good year, we wasn't real productive on first downs, running the football. A productive run, which I consider to be like 6 yards, on first down. We'd get like 2-3 yards, you know what I'm saying? When I looked at the percentages, we was kind of low. And I was listening to Alex, too, also about what they were saying about us, running the football. So hopefully we get better with that, and I wanted to know what you thought about that. But, yeah, Ben, I'm going to take Ben.
Oh, yeah.
That question you asked earlier, I'm going to take Ben, man.
Yeah, I got you.
Terry Bradshaw. For sure.
Absolutely, man. Well, definitely appreciate your call, man. And that was great timing, guys, by 973. Let me just set that precedent because we got 3 more calls in the queue, and y'all know I'm trying to get out of here in a half hour. So now we got 4 calls in the queue, and it's funny, man. They must don't like Steeler Nation tonight. Look at that. We got 4 dislikes already. Oh, man, don't hurt me like that. It's all good. Area code 757, live on air. What you got for us? Hello, 757. 757. We'll come back to 757. Let me say this, man. 757, if you're hearing this, make sure when you call, just call on the phone. Don't listen on the computer or anything like that because there will be a delay. So I don't know, maybe that's what's happening. As long as you stay on the line, I'll come back to you, though. So just want to give everybody that heads up. If you call in, if you're listening on your device, the computer would have you mute that and only listen by phone so there's no delay when we're talking and communicating. 803, area code 803, live in the air. What you got for
brother,
us?
How you doing?
What's good, man? How you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Great to have you back. The thing with I picked Big Ben because when I remember as a child when Bradshaw was coming up, he was in and out of the lineup, and Chuck Noll was probably more hard on him than he should have been, but he was in and out of the lineup, and he didn't have someone to bring him along as Ben did.
That's true.
So but I picked Big Ben because he gradually got better without being yanked in and out of the lineup. As far as the running backs go, I think we're going to have a great year. I'm just a cockeyed optimist, but I think we're going to have a very good year. 11-5, 12-4. Thank you so much.
Oh man, thank you for calling. I appreciate you guys saying, man, y'all missed the show, man. Y'all don't know. That warms my heart. I like what he said, cockeyed optimist. I love that. And my boy Still Jedi, I don't know if he's listening or if he'll hear this on the rebound. Y'all already know what Still Jedi said. Still Jedi said, not only are we going 13-3, he said the worst 12-4, and then he said we winning number 7 this year. So you talking about optimists. I ain't mad at that, man. We all optimists when it comes to the Steelers. I just try to be a little more objective. You know, I try to be, but y'all already know. Area code 412. Live in the air. Live on the air, rather. What's going on tonight?
How you doing, Sim? This is Patrick Covington Sr.
Oh, yes, sir.
To my son.
How you doing tonight, sir?
How are you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm good.
I'm
good.
Doing well, thank you. I wanted to call in. First of all, as a child, I used to watch Bradshaw, and since he produced 4 Super Bowls, I'm just going to go with him.
Yeah.
He was a childhood hero as I was growing up, and so don't get me wrong, I love Ben Roethlisberger, but I would rather go with him just because that's the first quarterback I noticed as I was growing up and where I lived. I wanted to ask you a question, Sim, something I have been thinking about. With everything talking about running back by committee and different things of that nature, I was wondering, do you believe that the Steelers have enough speed presence on offense, whether it's from the running back or from the wide receiver? Because as much as people talk about missing the production by AB and Le'Veon, one thing that AB gave you was separation down the field.
Oh yeah.
Do you believe that the running back or wide receivers have enough speed to be difference makers? And then on the other side of the ball, do you believe that we can stop speed? Because I believe that was one of our problems last year, is that we had an issue with stopping speed, not necessarily keeping up with it. So I think last year in particular we had speed, but I really don't know, as much optimistic as I would like to be, is there enough speed on this team so that we can go 12-4 and 13-3?
Wow, that is a great question. And Mr. Covington, and y'all notice I'm saying Mr. Covington, and I said sir. I always respect my elders, man. Salutes to you. If you're watching us, you see me throwing a salute. I appreciate it. Again, guys, he's Patrick's. Y'all know Patrick is usually here. Patrick Jr., that's senior tuning in, and that is phenomenal. You know, his son introduced him to me, and now they both watch. Humbled. But first of all, I want to comment on what he said about Terry Bradshaw. I respect that. That's his era, right? That's his era. It's the same reason why, and I'll give a quick sidebar, I don't always like greatest of all time debates, like the whole Jordan, LeBron. I was lucky enough and happy to be old enough to actually see Jordan play, right? So there's always going to be the fanism, but then also when I got older and I went back and really watched, come on. But I can understand somebody that's 20 years old right now saying LeBron is their guy. KD is their guy. You know what I mean? Same thing with, and Leonard would know this. Leonard, for you guys that don't know, was a professional boxing trainer. He's been around plenty of professionals and guys that you've seen fight all the time. He probably would say Muhammad Ali is the greatest of all time, where somebody else would say Mike Tyson. See what I'm saying? So I fully respect Mr. Covington there by him saying, listen, man, that was my first guy. I grew up on him. He gave us 4 Super Bowls. I cannot disrespect that whatsoever. So salutes to you, and I appreciate your call. The second thing, really quick, then I'll grab 484. Whoa, he dropped one on us, guys. That's a great question. I think we got faster on defense, obviously, even with a Devin Bush. And some people will say, well, that doesn't help us too much in the secondary, but it does, because it allows you to play a little looser. Think about when Shazier was out there. It allows you to play a little looser underneath when you got a guy of that magnitude that's fast enough to sideline to sideline. You also can throw him on a running back out the backfield or a tight end, down the seam. So it helps. But I do think we're going to be a little faster. I think a lot of times when you get a nice component on defense that's a young and, vibrant, exuberant, he's going to give everybody else a lift. I think Nelson is probably going to add a little more speed. Sean Davis is fairly decent as far as speed. But our corners are not blazers. Joe Hayden, we still got to see how he's going to do over the top and things like that. He's not what he used to be, obviously. So I think we might be able to defend speed pretty decent with the addition of Bush if he pans out the way we hope he will. Let's not forget Hollywood Brown with that speed is at the Ravens. So we're going to see very early because the last Brown they had last year was burning us deep. So great question. And offensively, you are absolutely right. We don't have any blazers. Juju is not a blazer, even though he went over to England last week and broke his own unofficial 40 time. And, he went from like a 4-4, no, not 4-4, 4-5-2 to a 4-5 flat or something like that. Whatever. But we know he's not a blazer, even though we've seen him be able to get away from people in open field. He kind of knows how to zigzag. But what you said is key, separation. Antonio Brown gave you that. And I think Deontay Johnson will be able to give us that off of the ball. He's not a blazer either, but his quickness will create separation. And let's not forget Moncrief. Moncrief is pretty fast for his size, so let's see. But great point. We don't have a lot of speed on offense at the wide receiver and or running back position, so you're correct. Area code 484. You are live. What you got for us tonight?
Yo, Sam.
Nah.
What's going on?
There he is. What's up, man?
What's going on? I saw you came on for a live and was talking about the one thing that I've all off season about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that is not only our starting running back in James Conner, who I think is going to come out and have an incredible year this year, going into his second true year as the starter at running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not only that, but you have incredible youth, depth, and now you have versatility at the running back position. Mm-hmm. I did a little bit of research, last week about our skill position players, and I found something that was quite interesting in terms of our wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends on the offensive side of the ball. And the two most expensive players at the skill position for the Pittsburgh Steelers are Dante Moncrief at $3.25 million a season, and Vance McDonald with just a little over $5 million a season. You're telling me our most expensive player is the player that's been on the team the least amount of years than most of these other, veteran players. Vance has only been with the team for 2 full seasons now, going into his third year, and he's our most expensive skill position player. So I bring that up to say this. Our offense is young, it's cheap, and it's, to a lot of people, unknown. And that's a blessing and a curse, because a lot of people don't understand the kind of talent and the kind of upside that all of these players have at the wide receiver and running back position, for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I did want to bring up one other point, and then I'll get out of your hair. The guy who was on before me was talking about speed on offense and defense. I think we're fine on defense. Remember, both safeties that we have, Terrell Evans and Sean Davis, ran a 4.4 at the combine, and that's before they lost weight.
Oh, yeah.
Into their second year, third year. So they're going to be faster.
I forgot about Edmonds. I forgot to mention Edmonds. You're right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got some young guys in Devin Bush, who ran a 4.43. You got TJ Watt, while he's the fastest guy in the world. He's a lot faster than what some of the other outside linebackers were in his draft class. Bud Dupree, who's been training with Chuck Smith, who trained Von Miller and trained DeMarcus Ware and trained Aaron Donald. He's working out at both Chuck Smith's place and Bomarito's, and he was already an athletic freak to begin with when we drafted him. And he's getting stronger, he's getting faster, he's getting more skilled. My issue isn't the speed on the defense, it's the speed on the offense. But I did want to bring up this point. Remember, last year we used a lot of Ryan Switzer in the running back formation because he was one of the fastest guys on our team. People forget that Antonio Brown wasn't the fastest guy in the world either.
4.5.
He ran a 4.5.
Yep.
Okay, but what he did very well was he had very good short area quickness, and he was able to separate. That's what separated him, no pun intended, but that's what separated him from the rest of the receivers in the league. I'll leave you with that.
Man, great points as always. That's still Jedi, guys. Definitely a fan favorite of mine. If you guys haven't checked him out, man, he does great work on his channel. Loyal listener over here, so I always appreciate him. And I love his, I love his boldness. Like I said, he says we're going to win number 7 this year. No worse than 12-4. And I'm like, wow, I love it. I love that. But yeah, man, good points there. Switzer, I did think that it was more so of a need versus Randy Fichtner being cute with the formation. Maybe a combination of both, but that's why we were seeing, Switzer get the ball some. Very good points, man, but we'll see. Speed doesn't always have to kill, if that makes sense. Juju Smith-Schuster, again, has ran no better than a 4.5, and the dude has 2 97-yard receptions. So, I'll take it. You know what I mean? So, there you go. But I would like to have a little speed. I mean, come on. We all suckers for speed. So that's going to do it for the calls, guys. I am going to try to grab 757. That'll be the last one, and I'll answer some chats for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then we'll be done for the night. So let me see if I can get 757 back on. Area code 757. You are live. What you got for us?
Hey, can you hear me, Sam?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, yeah, this is Brandon on here, man. First-time viewer, or not first-time viewer, but first-time caller here. Wow, so much that I want to break down or cover. First of all, shout out to you, man. Appreciate the show. Love the show. Shout out to Steel Jedi. Watch his videos faithfully. He does a lot for me in the off season when I'm bored.
Yeah, he does.
First, I just wanted to cover. I guess we'll talk about Ben first. I hate these who's better than who in different area questions, but I mean, me personally, I'm going to go ahead and say Ben, just simply because, I mean, it depends on what we're judging the, okay, he's better than Bradshaw at what, what I'm saying? If you're talking resume, of course he's going to beat Ben because he has more championships. But if we're talking skill and just ability, hands down, Ben beats Bradshaw. I mean, we all can see that, but I just don't want to be disrespectful to anyone's era.
Right.
Or anyone's hero, if you understand what I'm saying.
Agree.
So, but the guy that basically was talking about speed, I wanted to answer his question before you did. Basically, I feel like the speed is not the answer in the NFL anymore. Everyone looks at speed, but the Patriots prove to you every year that speed doesn't kill. Just simply by the fact of technique. Technique kills speed every day. And so, like, it's funny to see that everyone gets enamored by speed and size and things like that. The Patriots come with, they put out, 2 5'10" receivers that run 4.5s and beat you every day. So, speed definitely to me is not going to be the answer that you're looking for. You're looking for more technique, which is the reason why AB is so good. Everybody thinks AB is fast, and AB is not a quick kid at all. He was, if you look at basically his whole career, all of his success comes off of his route running. His route running is what makes him great. He's one of the best route runners in the league. You know what I'm saying? Of course he's quick and twitchy because he's small, but he's not a burner. Brian Shazier beat him in the race. Remember, I don't know if y'all remember that coming out of training camp. Ryan
yeah.
Shazier was faster than Antonio Brown. Like, dude, you know, people think Antonio Brown's fast and all. He's not. He's actually a fairly slower receiver. He's just quick in and out of his breaks. So I actually love what we did and the receivers we have. I think they'll actually do better than we think, just simply because you look at Juju's route running out of college, it's 10 times better than it was now. That's why he has those 290-yard receptions.
That's
and
right.
he understands the defense. So, and I really like Deontay Johnson. I was almost hurt when I saw them draft him, just simply out of ignorance. But I went and watched the kid. And I'm like, oh my Lord, you know, this kid is dynamic. This kid is dynamic, and to the point that, you know, I'm like, wow, maybe I'm wrong, because I hands down wanted the receiver out of, I believe it was San Diego or whatever college that was, the tall kid. 6'6".
Oh, Butler.
He ran like a 4.4 or something like that.
Yeah,
Butler. I wanted him automatically. I was like, oh man, I got caught up in it again.
And you know, we got to face him.
Like,
we got to face him this year too.
Yeah, exactly.
We got to face him and DK Metcalf, both of them.
Yeah. Oh my Lord. And it's like, and you look at that and you get scared because of attributes. But I promise you, you watch them face the Patriots. And watch how they swallow all of that up. They'll have them confused by the end of the day, just simply from technique and coaching. And I think as fans, we get so enamored, like, oh, he's 6'7", you know, 3-something, and, you know, and it doesn't mean anything at the end of the day, because, you know, they'll find a way to beat you. And like, we have to, as the league, we have to look at, okay, the Patriots have won the most championships within the past decade of any team.
Yeah.
Why is that? You know what I'm saying? And I think we continue to focus on the wrong things. And I think we need to learn from them instead of just hate them, because don't get me wrong, I can't stand them. You know, from the bottom of my heart, I can't stand them. But I think we need to more or less learn from them. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day. But that's all I got. Just thanks for having me on the show, and can't wait for the next one.
Definitely, and before you go, just so you can hear this, guys, I gotta let y'all know, I'm gonna give Brandon a shout out for being a professional. See, what y'all didn't hear and what I forgot, I muted the microphone in the stream because my wife is not here. My 5-year-old is upstairs watching TV, and I hollered up there, check on him or whatever, and I forgot that the way I connect to you guys via phone, Brandon could hear that. So he never checked up. He kind of paused for a second and kept on going. So shouts out and a round of applause to him for the professionalism. When he probably was like, what? Sim is talking to somebody else. But man, outstanding, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, definitely thank you for your call, man. Please check in anytime as far as phone call, man. I'm always happy to have any of you guys on the line. But yeah, I thought that was hilarious, because then I'm looking at the screen. I'm like, he can't hear. Oh, he can hear me. So yeah, man, he handled that great. More professional than I did at that moment. But all right, man, we're sitting at about, wow. See, I always go over time. But like I said, I give myself that buffer of no more than 45 minutes. Try to stay within 30. We're at 38 minutes. So I'll stay here in the chat for a few minutes, man, to answer a few questions. Let's throw another round of applause, man, to Brent Fox. Appreciate that, Brent. I appreciate the donation, man. You guys have no idea. Definitely appreciate that. Love when you guys do that, man. It helps me greatly, you know, in terms of just reinvesting back into the show and, you know, things of that nature. So appreciate that. But yeah, man, fire away, man. Whatever comments you guys may have. I haven't seen a comment in quite a moment here. So whatever comments you guys have, let it go. And I do like what my man Brandon said as well, man. You know, speed doesn't always kill. You know, listen, a lot of times we'd watch Gronkowski lumber down the field, but it was just because of his build and I guess his know-how, you know, how to get open was what made him such a threat. You know, obviously, again, his size and all of that, but it's not like the dude was out running too many people in a foot race. You know, I actually think, you know, and, you know, God rest the dead, but I actually think that, God bless the dead, rather, I think Aaron Hernandez could have had the opportunity to be even better than Gronk, in my opinion. I think he had more talent, if you will. That dude could have been a problem. He could have been a serious problem. Had he still been on the team. Let's see. Attention to detail is what wins team sports. That's why Belichick teams are always winning. Absolutely, why Digger, you absolutely correct, man. Keystone Wolf says, who will have more touchdowns this year, our receivers or our running backs? Very interesting. I'm going to go out on a limb and say running backs. Only because I think because it's three of those guys, they're going to find creative ways to get most of them on the field, and you're probably going to bring in guys for certain situations. So I'm going to actually say we might have more rushing touchdowns this year, just based off of the strength of our line. You would expect, or you would kind of hope that we're not pass heavy again, like we have been in the past. Not having Antonio Brown may affect a whole lot of that. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say maybe the running backs have more touchdowns as a collective this year, but I wouldn't be mad either way. Jay Wallace says, appreciate what you do, fam. Terrible Towel Tuesdays get me through the week. Respect. And respect right back to you, man. I definitely appreciate that, man. Steve Williams says, Devin Bush will win Defensive Rookie of the Year. That would be phenomenal for us. Now, let me ask you, Steve, while we're still in here for a few more minutes, if you got time, what wins him Defensive Rookie of the Year? You thinking total tackles, interceptions, sacks? What, in your opinion, will win Devin Bush the Rookie Defensive Player of the Year? And the rest of you guys can answer that too. What do you guys think if he does win it? What does it? What gets him that win in terms of statistics? Lawrence Holcomb says, don't forget that Barron is fast as well as Sutton Smith and Ulysses Gilbert. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Guys, I got it right. I almost called him Ulysses Gilbert. Ulysses Grant. Almost did it. But I said Gilbert. Yeah, that's true, man. Barron, he does got a little speed. He's quicker than anybody else that was previously there, excluding Ryan Shazier. I think he's probably got a little more wheels than Vince Williams at the moment. And Vince is not necessarily slow. He's just kind of slow in space. Steve says total tackles. Okay. All right, I like that. A. Whitfield says Devin Bush is a beast. That's why he will win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Just that simple. He's just a beast, huh? Footwork YT, says sacks and turnovers. Like that. Ernest Grice says, how many running backs you think will be on the roster? Probably 3. I'm thinking 3. Maybe they keep a guy on the practice squad, but I'm thinking we have a solid 3. I don't think we need a 4th spot right now. Jay Will, Bush will have to full up the stat sheet. Now, see, I'm kind of on that train, because you know how they do, man, with defensive. You know how the rankings and the voting goes. He's probably gonna have to be pretty decent across the board. Like having, let's say he has 90 tackles, 5 sacks, maybe 3 PBUs, something like that. Yeah, that might get him in. Who else? Excuse me. Nix will be a fullback. Yep, Rosie Nix will be a fullback for sure. All right, guys, 2 more, man. Drop 2 more in here, then we're gonna get up out of here. We have 43 minutes right now, so that'll get us to our max time of 45 minutes. So happy to be back with you guys, man. Even though I didn't have much to talk about, and I just don't like, rambling when there's nothing to discuss. We didn't have nothing the last 2 weeks, to be honest, man. It's fresh into the vacation for these guys, and now, we're getting a little bit to talk about. Now we're getting closer to training camp, so I didn't want to just come on here just talking aimlessly for no reason. But I'm happy to be back with you guys, man. Philip Kuntz says, will Ben throw less interceptions with the offensive line this year? I really hope so, man. I really hope so. I mean, he had to me, his best statistical year last year had an asterisk beside it because he had 16 interceptions and led the league. No, come on, Ben. We can't have that. Some of them interceptions very well probably did cost us a game or 2. I'd have to go back and chart it, but can't have that. And Y Diggy says, unless someone like Brian Burns gets like 15 sacks, absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll go ahead and end it on that. And I'm gonna root for Burns, man. You know, I'm a Knowles fan, so there you have it. Oh, here's one last one. Ali Howard says, whenever the news is slow, we can always revisit the Le'Veon Bell robbery. Hold on, man. Hold on. I'm going to throw a round of applause, but not for the reason why y'all think. Here it is. What up, Dez? My homie Dez. Look, here's why I throw a round of applause to the Le'Veon Bell robbery. It's funny when stuff happens to people, man. They just tell all their business. My man said, look, I left both of them in the crib naked. Not naked. He said naked. So the funny thing is he left two chicks. Here's the thing. I'm gonna drop a jewel on y'all, man, for the young boys that ain't never did that and done that. You know, ain't never been there, done that. You know, listen, I did things in my past. You know, I've had episodes, and like I told most of you guys, I used to be involved with music, and I've done things, right? Let me tell you, number one, when you meet some random chicks, okay? Because some of you guys are gonna do this. Sometimes it's just a part of evolution. It happens. Number one, you never leave them around any of your valuables if you do not know them. And I know some people will say, listen, well, if you don't know them, you shouldn't be, you know, getting down and dirty with that. And I know we've all done stuff when we were young. It is what it is. That's number one. Number two, I can't even get to number two. This ain't the show for that. This ain't the show for that. But bottom line, first of all, why did you leave them in there like that? And then why you telling the world you left them in there butt naked? So you telling us that you got robbed by two chicks that was butt naked. So at the end of the day, how I put that puzzle piece together, they knew they was doing that off jump. They did their thing. They said, oh, this is Le'Veon Bell. Let's chill with him. Let's give him a little something, lull him to sleep. And when he roll out, because he's comfortable now, he left us in here, we're going to take him for everything he got. So bottom line, there's women out there like that, Jack. Bottom line, I'm just saying. And he should know better than that. So there you go. I'll leave it at that. This ain't the show for that. But anyway, man, catch you guys next week. If you haven't, man, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Cut on your notifications so you know when I'm streaming. And I'm thinking I'm going to get back into some gaming streaming too coming up soon. So y'all stay tuned for that for you gamers out there. Y'all know Madden is coming in a few weeks or what have you. Also, do me a favor, man. Even if you don't follow, just make sure on Tuesdays, check in on Twitter to make sure I'm doing the show. Because if there's anything that comes up, if there's an audible I have to make, or if I'm not going to do a live show and it's just going to be a pre-recorded production, I announce it on Twitter. I don't know any other way to announce it to a mass of people other than Twitter. So if you come on and I'm not on at 7:30, and I'll say this, if I'm not on by 8, because sometimes it goes over, and I might actually change the time to 8. I'll get you guys' opinion on that later, but if I'm not streaming by then, check Twitter and your answer will probably be there. All right. So, you know, I just want to make sure you guys know how to stay in touch and know whether or not we're live or we're not. But outside of that, man, I hope you guys have a great week. We're over time, but, you know, anytime you're talking Steelers, that's going to happen. Have a great week. Be safe. God bless. And I'll catch you guys next time for Terrible Towel Tuesday. Peace.